Well, let's get started. I'm Erika Alfaro. I'm very happy to have you here in this webinar from Audacia, Jóvenes de Excelencia, and University of York. It's an introduction to the University of York, and I'm very happy to introduce Alberto Rodriguez from Jóvenes de Excelencia. Alberto, thank you so much for being here. Do you want to say something?
Thank you, Erika. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much, the University of York. Jenny, welcome, and nice to meet you. And yeah, it's ready.
Perfect. Ready. Thank you, Alberto. Well, I am very glad to introduce also Jenny Gonzalez-Hogg. She is a regional manager for Latin America, obviously from the University of York. Jenny is the person responsible for supporting Mexican students who would like to come and study at University of York in United Kingdom. She's there to guide you from the initial stages of exploring your course and funding options, through preparing your paperwork for the application process, connecting you with other Mexican students already studying in York, and welcoming you to campus when you make your dream a reality when you arrive in this beautiful city to start your postgraduate studies. Jenny, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for accepting this webinar with us, and all the microphones are with you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for inviting me to talk to you all today. I wish that I was able to travel to Mexico at the moment and be with you in person, but instead, welcome to my kitchen. And I'm going to just take you through today a little bit about our university, our city, how to apply, the costs, the scholarships, hopefully all the key things that you would like to know at this stage. But you will have my contact details. We'll have time for questions at the end, but you'll have my contact details as well. And as Erica mentioned, I'm your go-to person. If you want more information, if you want help, I'm the person that is there, more than happy to help you. So next. So first of all, where is York? So London is the place that people have obviously heard of. You may have visited for work or for a holiday. We are in the middle of the UK, the north of England. So we're marked on the map there. It takes 2 hours to get from York to London on a direct train. We're half an hour from Leeds, an hour and a half from Manchester. The UK, we have really good transport networks. So it is very easy to travel around. And so you can see how central we are. When I come to Mexico, I normally would fly from Manchester Airport. There is a direct train from York City Centre into the airport building. So it's super convenient. From Manchester Airport, you can travel all over Europe and all over the world. Lots of international flights from there. So great location. And we're a smaller city, so we are a city, not a town, not a village, but we have only 200,000 inhabitants. So for those of you who are living in Mexico City, it's going to feel way smaller than you are used to. But actually, I feel York is the perfect size. I've lived here for 6 years, and I think actually it's not too small. So it is a city. We have shops, cinemas, galleries, theatres, restaurants. We have all of those things you expect to find in a city. But it's small enough that it's easy to travel around to get from A to B. You won't spend 1 or 2 hours every day in traffic. And there's a really nice sense of community. People know each other. So I feel it's a nice size. So next. So academically, York is one of the top universities in the UK. As the title of the presentation said, we're particularly strong in social sciences and arts and humanities. Overall, we are ranked top 150 in the world, and there are about 8 subjects there. That are ranked top 100 in the world, including our social policy department is top 10 in the world. So say some real strengths. We are a university that isn't just teaching undergraduate students, but we have a strong focus on postgraduates and on research. And we are a member of this prestigious group, 24 of the top UK universities, which are known as the Russell Group. You may or may not have heard about the Russell Group before, but if you're looking for somewhere with really good research facilities as a postgraduate student, these 24 Russell Group universities are the most prestigious. So they tend to have higher entry requirements, unfortunately higher tuition fees as well, but they are the universities, I say, with the most fame in the UK. And if we move to the next slide, you can see the list of these 24 Russell Group universities. Or maybe not. I'm missing a page. It doesn't matter. We're the one I'm talking about. But one of the key things of being a Russell Group member is that actually we attract a huge amount of research funding. Now, why is that important for you? It's important for you because it means we have money to invest in incredible facilities. It means we have the funds to do research, which will attract the top professors. And it means that our teaching is influenced by the research that's going on. So we're not just going to be teaching you from a textbook that was published, 10, 15 years ago. Your teachers will be telling you about what are the latest advances in your field, what are the new discoveries, what are people talking about and investigating right now. So that really makes a difference. We want to inspire you as a student to learn more, to want to research, to want to make these new discoveries that are going to change the world, that will have a real life impact on society. And I think that's a really exciting thing that we're offering. I say it's not just here's a textbook and we're gonna learn what's in here, learn about these theories from 20 years ago. That's an important foundation. Say what is happening now, what are the latest discoveries, what are people debating, and that's what you will be involved in if you come to the University of York. So if we move on, we'll see a list of our 3 faculties at York and the departments within those faculties. So one thing you might notice is that we are not a big engineering school. So if you're looking for anything kind of heavy engineering, civil engineering, mechanical, aeronautical, automotive, we do not offer any of those heavy engineering programs. Our strength in science and engineering is on the high tech end of things. So things like robotics, communications engineering, green chemistry, biotechnology. So the small stuff, the tiny scale, not the bridges, not the cars, not the planes. We're not processing chemicals. We're not processing steel. We're working on the small scale, the high tech end. That's what we're really good at. So I've mentioned already we're top 100 for social sciences, we're top 50 in the world for arts and humanities, we're top 150 for our life sciences programs as well. So these are all really strong areas, and I say you have the list there. Hopefully there'll be something amongst there that looks interesting to you. So next slide. A little bit about our city. So I've mentioned it's a smaller city. It's a very touristic city. So it's not an industrial city that's involved in heavy industry. It's very touristic, service sector economy. Our factories are, well, we've got a chocolate factory and trains. Historically, we're a big centre for the UK railway. So we have like the National Train Museum is based in York. Really, really beautiful city. If you have any interest in history, you might not be wanting to study a master's degree in history, but if you have any personal interest in history and would like to see kind of a really typical historic English city, York is an amazing place to visit, and even more amazing to live. So 2 years ago now, we were actually voted best place to live in the UK by one of the British papers, the Sunday Times. So I feel very, very proud that I live in such a great place. I say that it was voted the best city to live in the UK. So the picture here is taken outside the cathedral, the minster, and this is during our Viking festival. So you can see, I think there's some Norwegian flags. There's a big Viking connection. It was an important Viking settlement, an important Roman settlement. We still have the Roman walls around the city. You can actually walk all the way around the Roman walls. And then the city centre, most of it is pedestrianised. So there's not much traffic that can go in the centre. And you have all these little winding medieval streets to discover. So lots of independent shops, cafes, restaurants, not the big chain places that you see everywhere. I mean, yes, we have a McDonald's, yes, we have a Pizza Hut, but lots more of an independent vibe. I say with family-run coffee shops, that kind of thing. Really interesting place to discover. There's always something new. Every time I go into the city, I find something new, a new place for ice cream or a new little park to sit in. So it's really, really nice. Next, I think we've just got a few more images of the city. So these are one of the typical streets with the cobblestones, and you can see the different types of architecture you have there, but really attractive. Next one. There you've got the cathedral, the minster in the background, and you've got some people walking along the walls and sitting in the museum gardens in the city centre. So there's lots of green space in York. We have a couple of rivers in the city. So yeah, lots of nature. And then our university is also very green with lots of nature. We're built around 2 lakes. We are a campus university, but we are not an isolated campus halfway up a mountain. We are very close to the city. So if you chose to, you could live in the city centre and easily even walk to campus in about 30 minutes, 10 minutes on the bus, 10 minutes on a bicycle. And bicycles are hugely popular in York. York is a very flat city, so you don't need to be a brilliant cyclist. You don't need really strong legs. It's nice and flat, and you will see bicycles everywhere. So if you know how to ride a bike, my advice would be pick up a second-hand bike when you get to York and use that for getting around. It's very, very convenient. So say we're just outside the city, but very accessible to the city, and there are houses and shops and things between the city centre and the campus. So again, you're not just in the middle of nowhere. When you are on campus, everyone you meet will be a student or a member of staff from the university. So that campus is really secure, and there's a really strong sense of community on campus. So it's very different if you go to some city-based universities and you go to your building for your lecture, your class, the class ends, everybody leaves and they go in 30 different directions, and you're in amongst the public. So obviously a campus university is a very different feel to that. And I love that you can walk across campus and you will see people that you know, whether it's from your course, from your accommodation, maybe from your film club or your volleyball team or your choir, whatever it is that you like to do in your spare time. So the picture there shows one of the buildings on the newer side of our campus. We are quite a young university. So we were established just over 50 years ago. And this is another impressive thing about us, actually. So most of those Russell Group universities, places like Oxford, Cambridge, Edinburgh, Durham, were established hundreds of years ago. So obviously they've had a lot of time, they've had centuries to build up their academic reputation. York are a baby in comparison. We're very young, but in, say, just over 50 years, we're already a member of that Russell Group. I think this shows that we're a really ambitious university. We're already World Top 150. Our ambition, now is to climb into the World Top 100. So we are ambitious, we're getting there. But the advantage of being a younger university is that I think we're more innovative, and maybe where some of the more traditional universities have a very traditional hierarchy, traditional way of teaching. I think we try to lead there. We try to be innovative and engaging in how we do everything, how we teach students, how we research. The design of our buildings is to get people to mix and to encourage interdisciplinary conversations. So we don't like to put all of the history students here and all of medical students here. We like to get people talking and working together, because actually we think that's the way the global challenges that we're facing as a planet will be resolved, is actually by collaborating across different subject areas. So we're young, but we're ambitious and innovative. We have about 18,000 students, and the UK generally is an international place. So when you come to us, you certainly won't be the only international student in the classroom. Actually, nearly 1/4 of our students are from outside the UK. So in your classroom, you will have students there, maybe from Switzerland, from New Zealand, from Malaysia, from Nigeria, from all over the world. And that's an incredible opportunity to network with different people, to learn about how life is in different countries, and to hear things from a different perspective. And each student brings new ideas. So we really, really value our international students for everything that they bring to our classrooms. And as a student, say, you will benefit from that international perspective that you couldn't get if you were just in a classroom in Mexico with other Mexican students. Okay, next. I think I've covered subject choices already, so we'll keep moving on. Applying, yes, this is the one we want. So if all this sounds interesting to you and you're thinking, oh, yeah, this could be one of my options, this looks quite interesting, I'm going to talk through what the next steps would be. Okay, so I would be here to help with this if you do have any difficulties. It's an online application system. We do not charge any application fee, and there are no additional admissions tests to take for master's programs. So if we move on to the next slide, we've got a bit more detail. All of our master's programs start in September each year. If you want to join us in September 2021, applications will open this September. So the 28th of September 2020, you can already start the process to join us in 12 months' time. Only a couple of our programs have deadlines. The rest of them are open for a full kind of 10, 11 months even, as long as you allow time to get your visa. However, we have some scholarships, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the scholarships in a moment, but the important thing to know is that for these master's scholarships, the deadline is usually the end of April, but you need to have an offer letter from the academic department before you are eligible to apply for the scholarships. So yes, you can apply in May, June, July, but if you apply in May, June, July, you have missed the opportunity for the scholarships. And obviously this is really important to plan your funding. And I would always encourage you to apply for as many scholarships as you possibly can. So to make sure you have your offer in time, mid-March, that would, I would say, be your deadline. I've realised I've put 2020 there. It would be 2021, obviously, for next year. But, you know, that gives you plenty of time. What documents do we need and what kind of scores are we looking for? So if you have a grade average of 8 out of 10 in your Mexican degree, that's the requirement for the majority of our programs. There are a couple of departments that would consider you with grades slightly below that, maybe 7.5, especially if you have some professional work experience. So if you've been working in a relevant area for 1 or 2 years, say there are departments that would take that into consideration. So it's still possible. You need to get your degree transcript, and you will also need your degree certificate, the título. But we can assess your application without the título. So if you're still waiting to receive that, obviously at the moment with universities being closed and everything has, you know, slowed down or stopped, there might be delays in getting this documentation. That's okay. We don't need the título to assess and make you an offer, but we will need it before we give you your final official unconditional offer, which is the one you'll need for the visa. It's also the one you'll need if you want to apply to Conoce, for example. We ask for 1 academic recommendation letter normally. So that should be from someone from your university in Mexico, written in English if possible, or if they cannot write a reference in English for you, you would need to get it officially translated. So your academic documents as well need to be translated by somebody who works as a professional translator. It can't be done by you or your sister or your father or something. They have to be taken to an official translator. You need to write a personal statement, so like a carta de motivación, telling us why you're interested in York, or what's attracted you to this particular degree program, what skills and experience you have that is relevant for this degree and what your future plans are, how this degree will help you achieve your future ambitions. You can send a CV, again, if you have any additional work experience or training that you want to tell us about, that's optional, but you can include your CV. And then there are some departments that will ask for some examples of your work. So for example, in music, in our film and television production department, English literature will want to see some samples of your essays to see how good your written English is. Philosophy are the same. So it depends which department you're applying to, whether you need that written work or portfolio. Say I've outlined the departments that require that there. So say all online, just scan your documents, upload them into our system, and within usually 4 to 6 weeks it takes us to assess your applications and make a decision. We're hoping to start doing that more quickly next year, but it might depend on the situation with coronavirus and how many staff are still working from home, because that is slowing us down a little bit at the moment. Okay, next. So English language requirements. Now, this is something you should be really thinking about in advance, because as I say, you need an unconditional offer often to apply for funding. So we can assess your application without your IELTS certificate or your TOEFL. We will make a decision based on your academic documents, the reference letter. We won't reject you because of your English language, but we will make it a condition of your offer. So the scores that you need will depend what department that you're going to study in. So you can see for the more technical degrees or something like music, you need a much lower level than if you're doing something like literature or law, which has a much higher, we're looking for IELTS 7 for those kinds of subjects. The majority of our programs ask for IELTS 6.5, that would be TOEFL 827. So, so you can submit those later, but plan ahead, make sure you're preparing, practicing your English. Lots of people who are good at English don't get the scores they need because they don't practice the technique of the IELTS test. So they go into the exam and make a mess of it because they weren't expecting the questions. They didn't know how to answer the questions to get great marks. So do be prepared, allow yourself time, do as much preparation as you can, especially if you're not able to work at the moment, and you can maybe study some free MOOCs online in your free time, watch videos in English, have the radio in English, and British English, more importantly, because most Latin American students are learning American English. So my accent probably sounds quite strange to you. So again, try and tune into kind of British English music radio stations, that kind of thing, so that you get used to the British accent. Okay, next. So I can see there's a question in the chat about the English. So if you were looking to come this September or this year, exceptionally, because we don't normally have masters that start in January, but we're offering about our top 20 masters programs this year are going to offer January starts because of the situation with coronavirus. So because the test centres are closed at the moment, anyone joining us this September or in January can also take the Duolingo test or the TOEFL Home Edition test. So we are accepting those this year. I don't know if we will accept those tests for September 2021. We haven't taken a decision on that. If you're going to take something like the TOEFL Home Edition test, make sure you have a stable internet connection, because I've had a couple of Mexican students now who were unable to complete those tests because their connection went down halfway through the test. So they failed to complete it and didn't get the scores they needed. So that's a really important consideration to say, yes, there are tests online, at-home tests that we're accepting at the moment, but we're not sure for next September yet. And so you do need to have the right equipment, the right IT equipment, and a good, stable, reliable internet connection, which I know everybody's online at the moment. That can be tricky. So on to costs then, the important bit. And again, this does require planning ahead. You can see our tuition fees here are broken into a few different categories. So laboratory courses are all of the sciences, biology, chemistry, physics, psychology, and so on. Non-lab is almost everything else, your history, your English, your economics. And then we've got some non-standard fees. So our management school courses are a bit more expensive, and anything that involves finance, so a master's in finance, finance and economics, financial engineering, all of those are our top fee, the £24,620. Now, UK Masters are 1 year, and this is a big advantage compared to most of the countries. So yes, the UK isn't the cheapest country. The exchange rate is definitely a challenge at the moment, but in terms of living costs, you're budgeting for 1 year of rent, 1 year of food, not 18 months or 2 years. So it's important to remember that. If there's anyone interested in PhDs, you've got the research fees there as well. Again, that's split between lab programs and non-lab programs. Next. So this may change actually for next year. At the moment, for this year, if you were joining us this September, we don't ask for a deposit before you arrive. We let students pay their tuition fees in 3 instalments. So you have 1 month after you arrive to open your UK bank account, transfer any money over, and then you pay 50%, 25% in January or before the end of January, and the final 25% before the end of April. If you have a scholarship through Conoce, where you are receiving monthly payments, then we will let you pay your tuition fees in 10 instalments normally. So not 12, unfortunately, but 10 smaller instalments to make it easier to plan your budget. So York do have agreements in place. I'm not sure if I've put a slide. We go to the next one, Erica. I've forgotten one. Yes, I did include it. York have an agreement in place with Conoce where we would give a 30% discount on those tuition fees I showed earlier. So if you get that funding, you automatically get that discount. And then we have a number of our departments who give top-up scholarships as well. So if they see that you have the Conoce scholarship, some of these are automatic, and some of them it's limited to, say, the top 2 Mexican students who come that year. So I think chemistry have 2 awards available for the Mexican students with the top 2 grades. So these are, as you can see, our science departments, because the science fees are more expensive. And our management school actually has also agreed this now for those higher management fees. But if you were doing something like politics, it wouldn't apply. So they're a lower fee to start with. We also work with FIDER, Banco de Mexico. So they have loans. So it's not a scholarship, it is a loan, but it's a specific educational loan for overseas studies. The students I've met and spoke to who've worked with FIDER have very, very positive things to say about them. They're very organised, they're really helpful in the process, They always pay the funding on time. You do need a guarantor. So, so not everybody will be in a situation to qualify for their support, but it's another option to explore. I would encourage you to explore it. Don't just think, oh no, absolutely not. If it's not a beca, I don't want credito, I want a beca. I think, especially in the current situation and the economic situation that the world finds itself at the moment, I think you have to be realistic about funding. It's becoming more and more competitive to get the Conoce scholarships. So I think it's a good idea to have a plan B and even a plan C. So I say my advice, apply for all of the scholarships. Apply early, get your offer letter, and any scholarship you're eligible, make an application. So with FIDEA, we would give then an automatic 25% discount. Now, any of these discounts here can be combined with our University of York scholarships, which we'll go on to on the next slide. That's important because actually many other universities would not permit you to combine the Conoce discount with their university scholarships. They would make you choose one or the other. You couldn't combine. But York, we think if you're a great student, and I know the profile of the students in this program is really good, you're very good academic students, very ambitious. We think you should be rewarded for that, not punished. So if you are able to get 2 scholarships, brilliant. We will let you combine those. Okay. So our university scholarships then, we have 100 of these for master's students. And they have different values depending on which country you are from. For Mexico, the value this year has been £5,000 discount in your tuition fees. And we have 7 of those 100 awards are reserved specifically for Latin American students. So we can give more, we could give 20 to Latin American students if we have enough really good applications, but a minimum of 7 will be reserved for Latin Americans coming to York. We also have some Vice Chancellor's scholarships. These are if you've got a really good grade average, so if you have 9 or higher, and if you have met the English language condition of your offer before the end of April, the deadline, then we can also consider you for this separate scholarship. So it's one application, and we will consider you for one or both awards, depending on your grades and depending on your English. So you do write a separate personal statement for the scholarships. To say it's a whole separate process after you have received your offer letter from the department. So it can be a conditional offer, that's fine. If you are still waiting for your titulo, for example, if you haven't taken your TOEFL test yet, you can still apply for the York scholarships. You will not be able to apply for the Mexican scholarships, Conoce or FIDE. They need an unconditional offer. So again, try to give yourself the maximum possibilities for funding. Try to meet your conditions, have that unconditional offer letter, and that will put you in the best possible position if you're looking for funding. Okay, next. Finally, quite a lot of our departments have their own scholarships. So the deadlines for these, the amounts that they will award, the process to apply, every department is different. So the best place to look for this information is the website, and that will give you the up-to-date, what is available for your particular department and when you would need to apply. But say lots of options. Okay, next. Now, this is to give you an idea of living costs. what you would spend in the UK. So we're outside of London. Anything that is not London and not in the southwest is going to be cheaper in terms of rent and cheaper in terms of travel costs. As I've already said, you can cycle or walk everywhere in our city. You do not need to take buses every day. We have great buses. If you want to, you can take the bus every day, but it's not necessary. People here do walk a lot. It's a very safe city. So even if you're working in the library until 4 o'clock in the morning, our library is open 24 hours a day, you can walk home at 4 o'clock in the morning, even as a female on your own, absolutely no problem, okay? So that helps, that helps reduce your budget. Lots of people who've been to the UK or have friends or family who've been to the UK, when they talk about the costs, they're thinking about London because that's where they've visited. Now, even for me, earning my salary in pounds, London is expensive. It's a very expensive place to live, say in rent, in travel costs, everything. So I go frequently, 2 hours on the train. I have lots of friends in London. You can go for the day, go to the theatre, go to a show, go to some museums, come back, maybe stay a night or two. London is very expensive to live. So anything in the north of the country is cheaper. I will be honest, York is not the cheapest city in the north. And that is because we are a desirable place to live. Lots of people want to move here because it's a great quality of life and a beautiful city. But it is significantly cheaper than London. You get lots of discounts as a student. So with your student card, you will typically get like 10% off at like drugstores, cinema tickets, some supermarket, like grocery stores as well, bookstores, some clothing shops. So lots of places do offer deals for students. And when you know the cheaper places to shop and the offers, you will be able to save money. It is more expensive than Mexico, obviously, for a lot of things, but not all things. There are some things that are a bargain in the UK compared to Mexico, if you shop wisely. Your student visa will allow you to work while you're in the UK. So if you're thinking, actually to help my budget, I would like to look for a part-time job. With your student visa, you can work 20 hours per week during term time. Be warned that a one-year master's, because it is only 12 months, is very intensive. You will be really busy with your studies. So I think working a full 20 hours is probably a bit too much, but maybe you could find a job that's, 10 or 12 hours per week that you can fit around your studies. And I say because we're a tourist destination, there's lots of kind of cafes, restaurants, shops, hotels that are looking for part-time student staff. So yeah, there are lots of jobs. Our careers service can help you look for that. So there's a mailing list you can sign up to if you want notifications about jobs. They can help look at your CV, make sure it's in a UK format, practice job interviews with you even. So they're not just there for your career when you graduate, they can help with the part-time job as well. And jobs on campus, there are a couple of things you can do. You can live in one of the student residences and help the younger students, the 18-year-old undergraduates, as they adjust to university life. If you were selected for that job, you do not have to pay for your university accommodation. Your accommodation would be free. So that's the college tutor role. Our team use student ambassadors to do things like campus tours for visitors, help with some administration in our office, work on chat sessions, that kind of thing, and that's paid by the hour. So it's not a fixed amount every week, but it's as and when you want to work, so really flexible around your studies. After graduation, the visa laws are changing in the UK from next summer. So master's students will now be able to stay for 2 years after they graduate. So if you're thinking about, you know, maybe an internship or something afterwards, or looking for a job in the UK after you graduate, if your sponsor allows it, make sure they do, some don't. Master's students can stay 2 years after graduation. PhD students can now stay 3 years after graduation. So that helps as well. That's good news for our international students. I talked earlier about funding, all this research funding that we receive, and some of that goes into buildings and facilities. So just some pictures here of, so you've got in the top corner there, the green wall of our new environment and geography building, living wall. You've got our new sports centre. We have 2 sports centres on campus. Great facilities, running tracks, you know, all the sports fields, swimming pool, cycle track, all of that. This is on the east side of campus. I'm testing myself now which building that is because I'm not sure, but I know it's on the east side. And Constantine College there in the bottom corner, so that's one of our residential colleges. So if you apply before our deadline, which is 7th, 8th of August normally, we can guarantee you a room in university accommodation. So you always have your own bedroom. You never share a bedroom. If you want to be on campus, say we can guarantee that. Lots of postgraduate students actually like to maybe live in the city or between the campus and the city, so it's a bit quieter. Campus is great, it's very sociable, but it can sometimes be a bit noisy as well if you're trying to study. That's personal preference. Next. Oh, I just talked about accommodation, so I think we covered that, and you have that guarantee. These are the crests for the different colleges. So we're one of only 5 universities in the UK that has this college system. So you have Oxford, Cambridge, Durham, Lancaster, and York. So the college that you're associated with, you belong to that college for life. It isn't just an address. It isn't just a place you live. If you choose to live off campus, you will still be allocated a college. So you will still belong to one of these colleges. You will still be able to get involved in all of the college events and benefit from all of the support. So I meet Mexicans when I come over to Mexico who graduated 4, 5, 6, 10, 12 years ago, and they meet one another, and always one of the first things they ask each other is, which college were you? Durwood. Oh, no, not Durwood. Oh, no, I was Halifax. I was Halifax. Oh, Halifax is the best. People feel very, very loyal to their college. And so it's a big part of the experience at York. So whether you live on campus or off, to be part of your college, your community within a community. And I think we're nearly there. Just a little bit about all the different support that we offer. So again, as I said before, we have nearly 25% of our students are international students. So we know some of the extra challenges you might face in moving halfway around the world, in studying in a language that isn't your first language, you know, in having to get a visa, you know, all of these extra challenges that you are going to come across. We have teams to support and help with that. So before you get to York and while you're at York as well. So we have a special immigration advice team, for example. We have a support service for students who are coming to York with children. We have study skills centres, so we can help with math skills, we can help with English skills. You know, if you're worried about your academic writing, if you're worried about presentations, we can help with all of those types of things. I would say York, again, we're a bit younger. Our staff are very approachable. you know, it isn't very hierarchical. You can go and speak to your tutors if you have questions. So they're really, really approachable, really, really friendly. We come over to Manchester Airport when you arrive. We have free buses to bring you to campus. You know, so lots and lots of support, and I say lots of understanding of some of the questions you might have, the challenges you might face to move from Mexico to York. We'll help you every step of the way. Next. If you'd like to chat with some of our students who are already at York, you can do this on our website. So we have, if you just Google chat to a York student, at the moment Armando is online. He's studying a master's in corporate sustainability and environmental management, and he's from Monterey. So you can connect with him and ask questions of him. And then some of our other students, you know, who might be from Peru or Ecuador, from different departments. Christina, could you mute your microphone, please? Could you just mute, Christina? We're getting some noise from you. Erica, I'm not sure if you're able to mute. Okay, sorted. Thank you. So Armando, he's with us at the moment. He's in York at the moment. He's just finishing up his master's. But there's lots of other students. The students available online change every 2 weeks. So if you look on and Armando isn't there that day, check back in another week or two, and he'll probably pop up again. Okay, so it's really nice. Then I'm the official channel, but there is a way to reach the students as well and ask them directly, how is the weather, how is the food, all of these things you might like to know. Okay, next. We work with an agent in Mexico who are really good, totally free service, okay? So they will not charge you a penny. Your tuition fees do not increase. They're still exactly the same as they would be for anybody else. And they speak Spanish. They are on the same time zone as you. And they are very experienced in things like preparing the documents for a Conoce application. So I've put their details there. It's not obligatory. You can apply independently directly to York, but I say they're very knowledgeable, very professional, and absolutely free. So I highly recommend them. Most of these advisors have studied in the UK themselves, or one of them used to work for Conoce. I think all of them now have visited our campus and they've seen the city of York and the campus, so they know about York. And the final one, I think, is my contact details there. In case you'd like to contact me directly, please do. I say I'm really, really happy to help you with any questions that you have. I've talked a lot. I've finished now, so I'm open to any questions anybody might have.
Jenny, thank you so much. It has been such an interesting presentation. We have some questions. Cesar, I don't know if you want to open your microphone and ask directly to Jenny.
Yes, of course. Thank you. And Jenny, I want to know a little bit more about your degrees in environmental science. I have heard that you mentioned something about a program of environmental and geography master's degree.
So we have a few different options. So let's see if I can remember them all off the top of my head. We have sustainability science, we have sustainability studies, we have the program that Armando is studying, which is corporate sustainability with environmental management. We have environmental science with environmental management, which is suitable if you have more a scientific kind of technical background. And we have quite an unusual program, but a specialism at York is environmental economics with environmental management. So lots of places do environmental management, But the environmental economics part, that's something that York are really specialist in. You can do that combination as well. So they're all one-year master's programs.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
No problem.
There's also a question, Jenny, about the deadlines for the next application process will be also in April.
Okay, so if there is anyone in the audience that would still like to come this September, we are still receiving applications for this September. If you want to apply for, say, there's about 20 master's programs that will start in January this year as an exceptional year because of the circumstances. They are mainly programs in the management school, economics, finance, engineering management. There's a couple in music and our theatre, film and television department as well. So like film and television production with directing, producing, that kind of thing. So there's only a limited number of those. The deadline for the January ones is the 3rd of December. We don't really have a date for the September ones. So when I talked about that mid-March deadline, if you want to come next September, that's the date that I personally recommend if you would like to be considered for our scholarships. But there isn't a fixed deadline. So say you could apply in July next year if you want to, but you will miss the funding if you do that. All the becas will be closed in July. So middle of March is a good target. So the application system for next September opens the 28th of September this year. So
perfect.
You can start the process now. So even if you don't have your TOEFL yet, even if you don't have your TOEFL yet, that's okay. You can still start the process.
Thank you, Jenny. Before we continue, I would like to invite all the participants to this webinar to next week. We are going to have graduate opportunities at the University of Miami. You are all welcome. And I would like to know if anyone has more questions. Yes, please. We have another question. If you can open your microphone, and we will be very happy to hear you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I have a question regarding how easy it is to like stay working there after you finish your degree, because I've heard like in several experience of other students, not in the UK, in other places in Europe, that sometimes the government gives you the facilities or they permit you, they allow you to stay there, but sometimes it's difficult for international students to find a job there in companies. So basically, I want to know that, like, if you have like the rate of students who stay there to work, and like how easy it is as well for you to get a job.
Okay, so in any other time before March, obviously the economy was looking more positive. At the moment, I think for students graduating this year, it will be really difficult. But hopefully in the next couple of years, as things start to improve again. So one of the reasons why this new graduate route visa has been introduced in the UK is that the UK government actually wants more international students to stay in the UK. And that's especially in sectors like kind of the high tech stuff, things like biotechnology, green chemistry, electronic engineering. We need more people in these areas in the UK. So say now, from the students graduating next summer will be able to stay for 2 years with a master's degree or 3 years with a PhD. And then if they have a job and then their employer sponsors them, then there is an opportunity to switch to a different category of visa, like a work visa, to extend that stay further. So yeah, I think previously students could only stay 6 months after graduation. So that was quite, it was enough for a short internship, but not really to look for a more permanent job. But employers now, they will see, okay, oh, this person can stay for 2 years or 3 years. I think it will encourage employers to look more seriously at international candidates, where maybe before they were more reluctant to employ someone who was only going to be staying for another 5 or 6 months. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thanks.
But yeah, I can't tell the future in terms of the economy and jobs and what's going to happen with the world with coronavirus. That obviously has changed things in many places. But as I say, our government is really keen that we're kind of going to build our way out of this. They have lots of big infrastructure projects underway, high-speed rail, airport extensions, and they're really keen to still pursue those. I think there's lots of things going on that the government is going to be looking for qualified people for those roles.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Jenny. We have another question. Thank you, Ricardo, for sharing your question. I think Conoce does not cover studies on humanities. Have you received Mexican students on your philosophy program in the past? And what place on the rank do you have?
Yeah, so for Conoce, if we have the agreement with Conoce, they don't look at the rankings of individual departments, actually. Have we had, I'm sure we have had Mexican students in philosophy. We had a PhD student a few years ago, but obviously it's a much more unusual subject. And you would probably have to look at, again, maybe something like FONCA, or rather than the main Conoce call, you probably are not going to be eligible. Again, I think Conoce, they change their priority areas and their eligibility criteria from year to year, and nobody knows yet how their criteria will be for next year, and how much budget they will have for scholarships. So I think never have Conoce as your only plan. Even if you're doing software engineering, don't put all of your hope on Conoce. Look at other options too, would be my advice. Again, I think the agent that we work with across the pond, they would probably be able to give you some good advice about other sources of funding. Look at the FIDE Banco de Mexico, look at that loan. So that would give you the 25% tuition discount. So yeah, there's still possibilities. But in the Conoce National Call, I think it's extremely unlikely that they would suddenly decide that philosophy is a priority area for Mexico. I think, areas around health, if anything, is probably going to be on a lot of government's minds. Things like, so we have a really strong program in health economics that I think is becoming more and more relevant for many countries. So and we have a global reputation for our Centre for Health Economics. So that's suitable for people who either have a first degree in economics, or they have a medical degree. They're in dentistry, they're a doctor, nurse, physiotherapist, pharmacist, anything like that, and want to move into health economics. But yeah, philosophy, you will need to really look into that and really be able to pitch your case as to why, for your Masters in Philosophy, why that's going to benefit Mexico, in what ways you're going to use that to improve society when you return. So that's something for you to reflect on.
Thank you very much for your response, Jenny. I don't know if someone has another question. In the meanwhile, I will really want to thank you, Jenny. I'm really in love with York. I can't wait to go there.
I'm not lying. If you go to Google Images, I always say, go to Google Images, put York, and see the pictures. I sometimes feel like I'm living in a movie when I walk through the city centre. It's really special. It's really charming. And I say the quality of the life, you know, how friendly people are. It really makes it a very special place. So yeah, I would love. I hope you have the opportunity, Eric. I would love to invite you and show you the city. And for the audience, yeah, I hope we might be able to welcome you to our campus in the next year or so.
Yes, and all the information you shared with us, it was really amazing. This innovative, this young university that is the University of York, and all the things about caring the students. I think it's a very important thing. So really thank you for this talk. Alberto, thank you also very much for being here with us. And well, it has been such a great time. I want to remember all the participants that this webinar is going to be in the YouTube channel for Audacia, so everyone can have the chance to look for all the tips Jenny shared with us in this meeting.
Thank you again. Thank you for your time. And we're not Miami. We don't have the beaches and the sun of Miami. But yeah, we're an incredible place. So look into it. Please do contact me. I'm going to type my email address in the chat here as well, in case you didn't get it from the slide.
We also can share it in the screen, Jenny.
Will you be sending the presentation to everybody who's attended as well, Erica?
Yes, it will be our pleasure to share this information with all of them. Alberto, I don't know if you want to say something. Really thank you for being here.
Yeah, again, thank you very much, Jenny. And I think the information will be very useful for all. And again, thank you very much.
Oh, un placer. Y por la próxima tenemos que encontrarnos en México.
That will be our pleasure to have you here, Jenny.
Y que todo el mundo se quedan sana y a su sana distancia y que se cuidan mucho en ese momento.
Exactamente. Esperemos poder tener pues la feria que tanto pues habíamos planeado para este año, tener la oportunidad de hacerla el próximo año y bueno, poder verte ahí y darte pues una bienvenida muy cariñosa.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias a todos. Bueno,
gracias.
Thank you very much.